Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today we talking about our loss against the Falcons. So let me start off by saying this. As the loyal subscribers know, I was going to talk about the Bears this week, but I had one thing to talk about, and I just didn't really see a conversation there besides people looking at it as a way for me to be negative, because that's the common complaint I get, blah, blah, blah. So I just let it go. I was like, okay, let's just go into the week. We playing the Falcons. Let's see what we can do. And we saw the game. Now, let me say this. I have to say this, bro, because it's at this point, it's just the truth. I go all the way back. Obviously, I've been watching football for a long time, but I go all the way back with this channel to the moment Trubisky got drafted and then to today. And I've heard so much argument from the Bears fans. So much about how I'm wrong about Trubisky, I'm wrong about Nagy, I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about defense, I'm wrong about everything. And I just sat here and I went through the years and just continued to see, for the most part, everything I said come to fruition. And again, like, I see this thing with people online in general, no matter if it's me or other places, where people really just feel like if you are confident in what you say, or if you say that you know something and you're not in that position, then they're going to try to rip you. They take it as you calling them dumb or something, and I just don't get it because there's nothing that I never said. So if Jeff Saturday takes a job with no coaching experience, but he played in the NFL, okay, we're going to listen to what he says and, X, Y, Z. And that's fine. I get it. People give them their own, they give them own trust because of what they've done before. But it feels like if you're not in that position currently, then you can't say anything. And I 100% disagree with that, whatever. I know the game, and I know and I believe that. I believe that through the experiences I've had. So I've sat here and listened to the back and forth every week for years, and I just continue to see what I feel play out on the field. And there's, different things. And I always tell you, if I feel like there's spots that I don't know, there are spots that I don't know what's going on because that's only somebody in the building would know. But for the most part, I know the game and I know how it rolls. So we look at today. There's a lot to talk about with this game, and we'll get to the film and we can talk about it. But for the most part, you look at it for the second week in a row, it comes down to, can you, and the announcer said it, and that's fine, don't lie. I said this a long time ago. So this ain't the announcers talking. I said this myself. Can you throw the ball when everybody knows you're going to throw the ball? And so we get less than 2 minutes to win the game. We're only down 3. And I keep, like, this happened last week. We was only down 1. But either way, it's a field goal game. And I talk about, imagine if it's a touchdown game. That's even harder than what we had to do the last 2 weeks. And on top of that, the last 2 weeks, we've gone against the last and maybe the third worst pass defense in the game. And you saw the results. Now, if y'all really have a problem and don't believe in football, then I can go to the film for last week because I didn't think I had to show it. You saw what happened. But I could go to it if you want, and it ain't the offensive line. And then this week we saw what we did. And so at the base argument and discussion of the future, not just this game, but the future, it is pretty much 100% what I've said. And that is the fear that I've had this whole time. And we're not, and again, the NFC is not competitive as the AFC. And so there is a world where the Falcons makes the playoffs. So at the end of the day, they might be a playoff team, but they are one of the worst defenses. Point blank, period. They're not a great team. And so to do what we did against the Lions, and I know they won today too, but whatever, you know what it is. Talent-wise, to do what we did against the Lions and then the Falcons, that gives me a lot of worry. That's off the top. That's what it is. The announcers talking about Justin Fields being tired, possibly hurt from running so much. I don't need to talk about that. You know how I feel about that. I don't care. If he was healthy and felt good in that 2-minute situation, I still didn't have faith in our offense to do what we had to do. So there's that. And then the other thing I'll say before I get into this game, a lot of people keep talking about, what do you expect from Justin Fields? What do you expect? Look at this roster. Look at this roster. Look at this roster. Wait, who told you that in the offseason? Who told you that in the offseason? And I will pull up all the receipts. I have them. The people that went off when I said that we were tanking this year, and they tried to tell me about Byron Pringle, EQ St. Brown. They tried to tell me about Dominique Robinson. They tried to tell me about all these players and tried to tell me how I didn't know football and how good they were going to be. And look where we are. So don't tell me, oh, he doesn't have a roster. What do you expect? No, I expect what's happening because I said that. And we don't have a roster because of the same people that you are putting faith in to deliver us a roster. So you're like, Ryan Poles knows what he's doing. Look at Claypool. Okay, what has he done? And not even a what have you done for me lately. I told you just in general, just schematically, it wasn't going to be like what you think it is. So you're projecting to next year before we get some production. And next year, guess what? He's going to be off his contract and you're going to have to make a signing to give him money, even if he produces. And so again, like people, I don't know what it is. It might just be fandom, but these people talk to me crazy and sideways when at the end of the day, what they say does not come to fruition and they can't even show up to, you know, whatever. As I said before, and I didn't say this before, I was thinking this earlier. I've said many times why I do this work. To get the approval of random Bears fans is not one of those reasons. And anybody doing any type of social media stuff for that reason, you're on a losing mission. So I don't measure anything by that. And so I'm okay with that. But I know nobody's going to be like, oh, I was wrong, you're right. And I don't need that. But it's just the constant pushback for something that was never an attack on anybody. It's just me telling you what I see. And to be attacked for just what you see, it's interesting. So anyway, let's get into this game. I put the blame at the feet of the offense. We can start there. I'm sure the numbers, we could go to the film, is going to bear it out. The special teams obviously stepped up. You could say the defense stepped up in certain ways, but we were still problematic on defense. But I would say the special teams stepped up. We haven't had anything from that. Valus, gave us a great return, short field. We had a fumble recovery, short field. And then I guess you could give, I shouldn't say I guess, you give the defense credit. They forced a fumble, short field. So the offense did not have to do the heavy lifting that they've had to do the last few times. And then on top of that, you playing against one of the worst defenses. So even if you didn't have a short field, you should have been able to drive on them. But there's too many times where the offense was not efficient. It was not on the same page. It was not a good play call. And then that boils down in a microcosm to the last drive where you can't deny it. The offense in the 2-minute drill was terrible. I don't know if Fields was hurt. I don't know how tired he was. And frankly, it doesn't matter because some people will say, well, in that situation, you don't do this. Well, I would say overall, you don't run your quarterback like that, period. How about that? And so whatever you want to say. And I know it's a Lamar Jackson thing. You watching the Ravens barely beating the Panthers. That style does not travel. And it doesn't walk. As I say, like in spades, it don't walk. I don't say it doesn't travel like in any other sport. That meaning that you do not win a high majority of your games. You do not dominate a high majority of games with that style of offense. And so there's a lot there. And I said this before. There are parts where the offensive line was bad. We don't have Tevin Jenkins right now. We don't have Borum. And they're not, I'm not saying Borum is great, but you're talking about Riley Reef being iffy. You talk about Schofield, another person people raved about, not being great. And then even when we are fully healthy, there's question marks. So yes, but it's not fully on the offensive line. And I said that last week and I've said that previous weeks. I show you plays. There's times where Justin Fields has to make a difficult pass. Now, if you want to sit here and say the touchdown to Mooney, see, that's what I'm talking about. Well, guess what? That's not the NFL. That's not a champion. A champion doesn't win on a wide butt open play because the defender fell into somebody. That's not how you win. That's not consistent. Consistent and how you win is the tough plays. So it's not always going to be a perfect pocket. It's not always going to be a wide open receiver. You got to throw with anticipation. You have to work the pocket. You have to know what the coverage is giving you. And too many times our offense, again, as I've said before, we get behind in the chains and we don't know how to operate. And I'm not saying we need to be behind in the chains all the time. Obviously, you want to be ahead of the chains. You want to run well. You want to set up second and short, third and short. You want to do those things, but you have to be able to operate when things are not well. And look, the fact of the matter is with any running team, when it's second and short, third and short, most of the time they're running the ball. You don't put your quarterback in those pressure situations. And so if you wait till 3rd and 14 to put the quarterback in that situation, if you wait until 3rd and whatever, and you never do it in 2nd and 6, you never do it at 3rd and 1, you never do any of those things, then they don't have the muscle memory to make those plays. It's just point blank, period. So then going to the defense, I said in a commentary or the community, my bad, the community of the page. And by the way, if you're a subscriber and you want to sit on my community tab during the game, I'm usually chatting in there. So I said the most priority right now should be a pass rusher, a legit young edge rusher, I should say. Somebody that can set the edge and rush the passer. Because, look, I know people keep trying to give Kyler Gordon credit, especially in the media. He has been getting killed this year. Absolutely killed. He's been about as bad as I thought. Now, I shouldn't say that because I didn't think he was going to be bad. I thought he was going to be much like Jalen, a cover 2 corner. And trying to put him in space in the slot is a whole different world, and he's been really bad. So I don't care that he made some tackles or whatever on screen. And again, it's Atlanta, but he's been bad this year. Brisker's been pretty solid. He can continue to grow. He'll get there. But overall, I just, you look at the defense and the problem is we can't stop the run. I've talked about that before with our ability to get off blocks, but also in the pass game, there's just no pass rush. And look, I was talking about this when we had Khalil Mack, Floyd, Khalil Mack, Quinn. And so if we weren't getting it done with them, we're not getting it done with this group. So that's just point blank, period. We got to add that dynamic. Even if you got somebody that people want to double team all the time, that opens up, different things for other people. And then, yeah, we need more talent along the D-line and everything. And I've been talking about that. You got the Falcons, who is a run-heavy team, and we did some good things. Don't get me wrong, we did some good things, but and we got the spirit, we got the fight, but we just need more talent at this point. That's all we can really say. And then again, shout out to the special teams for stepping up. Shout out to them for putting in some big plays that really set us up. So you got to give them credit. Yeah, but the last thing I'll say is I meant to say this at the top. I'm sure people aren't listening by now, but I meant to say this at the top. I have to say, this was one of the few times that I was excited, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I was excited. And again, people, like I mentioned earlier, try to say like I'm negative or whatever, like I want the Bears to lose. Just because I'm telling you what I see doesn't mean I want the Bears to lose. Obviously, I want our Bears to win. I'm a Bears fan. And I know what the standard is, and I know what good football looks like. And that's all that comes down to. But I would say today was one of the times I was excited. Now, I might have been under the influence. Who knows? But I can sit back and say, man, look, we have this and that works. And I think if we add this and that, and again, I keep saying this, I know y'all gonna hate it, but I keep thinking of Madden. Obviously, you can't add people the same way you do in Madden, but the theme is the same. When you're running a scheme and you are trying to build a roster that fits it, that's all the same in real life. It's how you get it done is going to be a little harder in real life. So for me, I look at our team and someone asks me, like, who do I think is playing well? Like I said, Brisker, I think is solid. Brisker, I would hope, if it was me personally, could get in the weight room and really like focus on protein and bulk up a little bit. So, because really, he's Amos at best. And we had Amos and we let him go. That's the sad truth of it. He's Amos at best, where we really don't have to use him in the back end. And shoot, he went to Penn State. He played like the same position, so it makes sense. But that's who he is. And so, but I do worry about him being a little bit on the thinner side. But overall, solid player. Eddie Jackson's solid. I don't think you need top flight safeties in this league. I'm going to just be honest with you. You just need to have two safeties that are really good at what they do. Jalen Johnson, I think, is okay. He's good. He can be there. Kyler Gordon, I do think could be okay at the outside corner position in a certain scheme if we're running cover 3, cover 2 type beat 'em up press. But they haven't done that with him. He's not good at slot. Obviously, we need a lot of upgrades on the D-line. There's not much there that I'm worried about. And then linebacker-wise, Morrow and Sanborn are cool. And like many people told you with Roquan Smith, you just need somebody that's cool at middle linebacker. I don't agree with that necessarily. I do think we could upgrade over both of them. But, for right now, if you look, I'll say this. If you put the healthy Washington Commanders D-line in front of our linebackers, they'll be perfectly fine. So the more priority is the D-line. Offensive-wise, you know what I think about Fields. Mooney, I think, is legit. Claypool, I like, but again, I don't think with him and Mooney that works, to be honest. I do think if you got, let's just say, Calvin Ridley, all of a sudden Mooney and Claypool become immensely valuable. Like I said on Madden, I'm sorry again, I had got Ridley and Jacoby Myers. Number one, Mooney becomes hugely elevated because he never even has to play outside. You got a legit number one to worry about that can run routes and beat one-on-one coverage. Jacoby Myers is a nice little asset, and then Mooney can play in the inside. Or Mooney can play on the outside, vertical threat, and then Jacoby Myers can eat inside. That's the way I looked at it. That's the way I look at it in real life. We need a legit number one to make these pieces work. Offensive line wise, I think Braxton been better than you could have, projected. But there's some limitations. But he put on a lot of physical change this year. And so to give him another year, I give him, a chance to, but he just seems thin in the waist and he doesn't handle power well. Tevin Jenkins, you know how I feel about him. The rest of the O-line, I think we need to upgrade. And then, as far as running back, I love Montgomery and everything. The money's going to make a, decision. But at the end of the day, running back is dime a dozen. You get, the offensive line in a good space, the running back, will figure itself out. And then Kmet at tight end has shown some work. I mean, I liked him coming out. That's not the pick I would have made. I said that many times, but I still liked him coming out. And that catch today, let me just say, way better than Justin Jefferson. I ain't getting into a debate, but Twitter, I was telling people, I'm like, Justin didn't catch that pass. Like, the corner maintained it for him and then bobbled it into Justin. And as much as I don't like Skip Bayless, one of the absolute worst in sports media, me and him saw that the exact same way. So Kmet's catch was absolutely nasty. And he's just been showing good things. But I told you tight ends a dime a dozen too. Guys that can move well and have size. They're mismatches. They're a matchup nightmare. It just depends on the quarterback to get it to them. So at the end of the day, a lot of this, as far as what we saw today, was not a shock. And I told you, I'm going to say that most weeks because I've pegged this team a long time ago, and I'm seeing exactly what I expect to see. So that's me. Y'all know how I feel. I'm curious about how you feel, what questions you got, disagreements, all that good stuff. Go to the comment section, let me know. Share this conversation around. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.